Hey folks, thank you for joining us again for another exciting episode of Yoml. This is the Year of Magical Learning podcast. I hope you guys have a good 4th of July and ready to get back to normalcy. And hopefully you guys are not struggling as much as we are right now. But nonetheless, let's try to get back to normalcy. And today we're doing book reflection 273. I think this is I don't know. I mean, I think
An interesting one.
it's an interesting one, but I think it may or may not be in line with what we do at company. So we'll see. What you
Yeah,
got, Chris?
yeah. So it's an interesting book. This one's a little bit off the beaten path. It's a book called Clan Lands by Whiskey Warfare and the Scottish Adventure Like No Other by Sam. I don't even know, Hewen, I think is his last name. How you pronounce it? And Graham McTavish. McTavish. Sorry. Sam Hewen and Graham McTavish are the stars of the show on Stars, called like a cable, TV, like HBO basically, called the Outlander. Have you ever heard of Outlander before?
I've heard of them.
Yeah. So I had no idea what the show was. Never seen it. I don't know anything about it. For whatever weird reason, though, I've always been intrigued by Edinburgh, Scotland. It's always been just kind of like one of those bucket list places that I want to visit someday. And for some weird ass reason, like this book came across my radar. I don't know how. I really don't remember how I found this book. I think it was maybe because my cousin Erica is like obsessed with like the UK, Scotland, Ireland. Like she just like loves it. Like she loves like that show, The Last Kingdom. Have you ever seen that show, The Last Kingdom? Like all the Viking Norsemen and Viking warriors and Valhalla and all this other crap. And then
Right.
like the show if you've never seen that show, The Last Kingdom on Netflix, it's really good actually. It's about England, the formation of England, basically, of like all the different little like sects and kingdoms and whatever fiefdom, whatever, like coming together, and they had their own little like areas of the island and stuff like that, and they came together to form England. Anyway, long story short, like that area of the world kind of has always fascinated me. Obviously, my last name is Sears, even though I'm gonna, my mom's side of the family is Iria, and it's Italian. My dad is primarily from England, Ireland, and the UK, and then France, I think. So like that's my dad's side of the family. So I don't know. This is also part of my home too. So I don't know. For some weird reason, I've always been intrigued by it. Somehow this book came across my spectrum, or my purview, and I was like, yeah, sounds interesting. Book about clans and Scotland and whiskey warfare and Scottish adventure like no other. I was like, sounds kind of cool. So what I came to find out about this book was it's written by these two guys, Sam Hewen and Graham McTavish. They're like the stars of like this show called Outlander. This show Outlander is apparently is like a cult following, is like a really big popular show. I don't know. I've never seen it, never heard of it. I didn't know anything of it. So I'm listening to this book and I'm learning more about the show, and I'm learning more about them and how they even came to be on the show. And they're both Scottish, but they were working actors, doing normal just like Hollywood stuff, right? And the show opportunity came out. They got cast for it. This Outlander show became a huge, like global sensation, and these two somehow became like a de facto Scottish ambassadors to the world. So everywhere they go, they're like now like the show is all about like old world Scotland, and how like the clans of like Scotland in the, I don't know, I think like the 1700s or 1800s or something like that. Yeah, these two have become like basically ambassadors of Scotland. Like people like love them. They don't know that they know them from the show, but they also love their own home, their own ancestry, right? So this book is about them exploring Scotland together, right? So it's kind of like a fun buddy comedy, a little bit, where you're learning about history, about they're traveling around drinking whiskey, and learning about history about the different clans and different cities and different important events in Scottish history, and they're doing it all together, and it's kind of like a buddy comedy while they're crazy crap is happening, and they're describing their journey together, and going all around Scotland and exploring this stuff. So the reflection title for this one is "Oh, the places you'll go if you follow your purpose." So this journey has been wild for me. In terms of, as we learned from The Alchemist in book 1, right? Like, when the universe, when you want something, the whole universe conspires to make it happen, right? And you follow the omens, you listen to what's going on out there. Well, this journey has taken me on exploring many different areas of the world, whether it be with all of Eric Weiner's books, with like the Geography of Genius or the Geography of Bliss, and learning about Iceland and Bhutan and Vienna and Edinburgh in one of his books as well, and like all these places where I'm like, man, that sounds really cool. I want to go there someday, right? And I write about it and I think about it and I'm like, oh well, it's like I'm into it. Or I learn about all the different South African books I've read about Nelson Mandela's biography, the Lion Tamer's Guide to Life, Trevor Noah's Born a Crime, we just did a couple of weeks ago. There's like probably 2 other, I think, South African. The Elephant Whisperer. There was another one too, I think. Anyway, all these books are like, man, I'm going there someday. Like I've told you this. One of my reflections for the Elephant Whisperer is like I will go to Tula Game Preserve someday. I don't know when, but I will get there, right? Same thing with Edinburgh. I will get there after this book. Like it's just one of the places where like my intrigue is peaked, and it made me start to think about Sam and Graham and their journeys together. Like they never wanted to be, they just were actors, and they ended up being cast in this show where nobody had any idea if it's going to be any good or not. It turned into this mega sensation. And but through their meaningful work and their meaningful relationships that they built with each other, all of a sudden, like, they really loved their ancestry. They loved talking about Scotland. They loved learning about, like, the show is all about ancient history in Scotland, and they loved this stuff, and it became like a fixation for both of them. So after the show ended, or in between one of the seasons, they were like, let's do this. Like they started this show called Men in Kilts, where they went and explored different areas of Scotland together, and then that led to this book called Clanlands, where they're writing more about the stuff, and they continue to explore their own history and things that they love, and they're doing the things they love to do with somebody that they love to do it with. Like they became like really close friends. They became really, really good buddies. Like, they're kind of like, one of them's in his 60s, the other one's in his, like, late 30s. So they're a little bit of a mixed mash pair of, different experiences, but they're like, they fit. They just fit. Like they care about the same stuff. They like the same things. They help each other get, better at other things. And it's just amazing sometimes the places that and the people that you'll go and find yourself surrounding yourself with when you follow your purpose, and when and that purpose leads you to meaningful relationships and meaningful work. It's just wild. Like, I mean, you end up with books like this where somebody's talking about it, and I'm learning about Scotland and history, and I'm thinking of places I want to go. As a matter of fact, my wife, the other day, I'm turning 40. I'm 38 right now, but my birthday, 39th birthday, is in about a month. This time of year is Wimbledon. So I'm a huge tennis fan, and she knows that I want to go. That's always been a bucket list. I've been to Wimbledon just to visit it, but I've never been to Wimbledon. And that's like a bucket list event that I want to do someday. So she was like, "Hey, you wanna go to Wimbledon and for your 40th birthday next year?" And it'll be a couple of weeks before. And I was like, that's a great idea. Then we can go to Edinburgh, and then we can go to, then I was like, then I want to go to Vienna as well. Like, I mean, I'm already planning out our next, trip, and, like, I'm like super excited. Like, I can't wait. We're going to take Luca, I think. And, maybe invite some of my other family members, and just like go have a freaking great time, like doing stuff that these books basically inspired me to want to go do. Like, I mean, Vienna was never on my radar before. Edinburgh was really never on my radar before until I started learning about it in a lot of these different books. And now I'm in. Like, I mean, now I'm like fixated. I can't wait to go see it and put visuals to what I know already about these places, and continue to further, explore them and see what I learn. Right. So, so it's, the places you go when you follow your purpose. So that was a reflection. Love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I think it reminds me of I guess one of the reflection we did earlier about, learning is leading indicator of
Yes.
of your purpose, right? What is it?
Yep. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
Right. So to me, it's along that line, just because whatever intrigues you is essentially searching for your purpose. And it sounds really awesome when you can find somebody who can share the experience, because I think that if you take, Sam and Graham and say, okay, you guys are both on this show Outlanders, and you can both, interested in your ancestry, but I guarantee you that without having them together, they would not have gone this far.
No,
It's
not at
just
all.
because
No
I
way.
think I think it needs to have both elements for it to create this perfect storm of combinations
Yeah.
to move forward. I think, there's still going to be some days when, you know whatever reason you're in this rut, and you need the other person's, enthusiasm to get you out of it, and
Right.
if without that, to me, this is a perfect example of what we mean when we say meaningful relationship. This is one of the
Agreed.
things that is a crucial ingredient in terms of what does meaningful work has to do with meaningful relationship, because without meaningful relationship there isn't meaningful work. But then at the same time, if there's no meaningful work, there's no meaningful relationship, because if this guy was just regular actors, and then maybe they didn't get cast for Outlanders and didn't get the, you know like peaked into the interest in terms of, what are they, um kind of
The
from
history of their
there.
people, like they didn't know, they didn't care, they just were Scottish, they were like cool, but this is a period show, it's like a period piece,
But
like and
once
they
once
yeah,
once you kind of open the learning thread, right?
right,
That thread creates a curiosity, just like you are right now, because you already get a thread into this curiosity. So when you are planning for your 40th birthday, say, hey, I want to go to Edinburgh. Hey, I want to go here. I want to go there, because that thread has been attached
right,
to this, whatever that you start to expose to your purview. And
right.
I think that creates the I guess the path for you forward, because, having that. But then at the same time, if you can have somebody to share with, I think that's going to create this exciting journey. And to me, understanding that aspect of it creates the an opportunity for you to orchestrate a solution, for you to say, hey, does anyone has a common interest in these places on your bucket list, for example? So
Right.
if you get your wife interested, you guys are gonna have really much fun. But if you say, well, I like it, but I don't have a buddy to go along with,
Hmm.
I guarantee you it's not as fun, and you're probably gonna be, not even halfway, as enthused as if you have somebody to share with. I think,
Right.
that's what I'm saying is this piece of book, it relates to company in a lot of ways, because I think
Yeah.
that's what we want to emphasize inside of company is,
Yeah.
you have to have these two elements, and these two elements are important for you to have this awesome journey. And from my perspective is, I think these journey, these guys experiences is awesome. When it's not something that, it's not my ancestry, but I still feel very, you know
Their
fulfill
excitement,
like you feel the excitement, fulfill
yeah,
for
yeah,
them
yeah,
in
right,
a way that, hey, I think they are. It's good for them. I mean, it's
yeah,
good that they found that thing, right?
right.
Whatever that thing is, that thing is to be this
Men in
explorer
kilts.
of Kenlands or men in kilts, or
Right,
whatever, right? And they found that
right,
thing, and to me, even from what you said to me, I can feel their happiness,
yeah,
the excitement, the enjoyment of life, and I think that's, it's a sense of purpose. I feel a sense of purpose from these two,
for
and,
sure.
and,
I mean,
and to me, that's
you could feel it in the
ultimately
book. I mean,
what company is ultimately it's about. It's about trying to kind of produce these kind of meaningful work and meaningful relationship, and these kind of sense of purpose for people that come across us, as far as company is concerned.
yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's it's not it's not lost on me, like that you and I are talking about this, this wouldn't be fun without you. Like talking to somebody else about a book about clanlands and sharing this reflection, it'd be like, that's cool, Chris. Like, I don't care. Like, I mean, like no joke, without a doubt. Like they would. I mean, I can't think of maybe one other person in my life that they would even humor me of letting me explain this book to them. They'd be like,
Hmm.
what the fuck are you talking about, man? I mean, no joke, without a doubt. Like, I mean, so the fact that not only do you let me humor you with this, like you let me share my thoughts from it, and then we end up talking for an hour about it, and then
Right, because we have that common thread, right? The
right,
common thread is
exactly,
you and I. Because the thing is, you think about it, your ancestry and my ancestry are probably completely different. There's
right,
no like overlap anywhere. But for us to be able to understand each other through this commonality of company, through this commonality of wanting to create meaningful work, meaningful relationship together, the common thread of having the desire to follow a purpose, and
right,
so it creates a lot of commonalities from us. That's why my opinions engages you and your opinion engages me, because for me saying yeah, that's part of what I
it's
want to
fun.
learn,
It's
right?
fun,
and,
yeah,
and when it aligns with you, then your gene, it goes and it get enthused as well. Because
right,
if you're talking to somebody without any kind of commonality, everything is about, okay, what's in it for me? Meaning, okay, it doesn't relate to me. What do I care? So if you talk to me about something that I don't care about, then most of the time is I don't have anything to say to you. I mean, you
right,
think about it. Even if I give you, 15 minutes to have an ear to listen to, I have nothing to say. There's nothing for me to say that is interesting,
right.
because right, there's nothing I can say. Hey, okay, yeah, it's cool that they wear kilts. I don't know. I never done it, So that's
Right.
what I'm saying is, there's nothing for me to pick it up on and say, well, this is interesting, this is exciting. I can see this, I can see that, I understand that, I can send this, right?
It's not
And
meaningful for you. I mean,
it
like,
isn't, and that's my
yeah, right,
point. My point is meaningful work has to have that deep connections,
exactly.
right?
Yeah,
And the deep connections creates the deep, meaningful relationship. Because the
relationships.
thing
Yeah,
is,
yeah,
that's what I'm saying is it's very, very hard to tell the two from each other. The meaningful
it
work and
is.
meaningful relationship.
It really is. Like, I mean, in like I I'm flashing back a little bit to my experience of I this is an audio book I did with them, and obviously they're actors, so they were entertaining, right? But
Hmm.
they were I could tell they were entertaining the shit out of themselves. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
they
right.
really were having fun doing this stuff. Like they were having fun exploring the history of their native country and sharing that with other people, and then also sharing that with each other primarily. Honestly, like they were just having a blast, man. I mean, like, but you're right. It's
They
like the
were just
subtle
it's just
little
exploring,
nuance.
right? They're just
Right,
exploring
exactly.
and learning from each other, right? And that's it's essentially similar to what you and I are doing. Is we just exploring and we're learning from saying, hey, you say something about this, and I reflected on it. Say, yeah,
Right.
I understand from this perspective. And they say, yeah, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that perspective yet. But even though I'm the one who created the reflection, but what I'm saying, what True say, is a little bit different. So
It
so
is.
from
Yeah.
that perspective, if you start learning from each other, and essentially you are so focused and engaged in the flow of learning about things that aligns with you, whatever you do and whatever people see from the outside, it's just basically, just gravy, just whatever. Because it doesn't matter if people buy the book. It doesn't matter if people see Clanland and get influenced or whatever. They don't really care. They are having a blast just
Right.
by
They're
having
not
the
on this
ability.
podcast. Nobody's listening to this podcast like to learn about Clanlands. If they actually were to ever listen to this podcast, they'd be intrigued about balance, meaningful work, meaningful relationships, clubbing, the stuff that we're doing, right?
Exactly,
Like
right.
that's the only reason they'd be tuning into this at all in the first place. So like the only reason why they would even stay tuned, like this is just a vehicle for us to be able to talk more about what we care about, right? And for them, traveling like Clanlands was a vehicle for them to go exploring about the shit that they cared about together. They cared about their fucking whiskey and warfare and the stuff they wrote
Hmm.
about. Like they just cared about it, right? Like so, like they're not writing a book about Scotland. They're writing a book about stuff that they like, and they just happens to be Scotland together, and it happens to be something that they both share a common interest with. But the people that read this book most likely are going to have either some desire to want to learn about Outlander or Scotland or whatever.
Hmm.
Like I mean I don't know how the
that's
fuck I
that's
ended up
the
reading
the
this book,
thread
you
of
know,
interest,
like
the
right,
thread of curiosity, right? When you
right,
start to to follow that thread, right? That path leads you to your purpose, and that purpose, right? The purpose of saying, hey, I am this, I have this kind of, um, ancestry, and I'm interested in it. Right? That learning leads you to your purpose, and that
Right.
purpose will lead you to places, right?
Exactly.
Like you just said, the places you go, you follow your purpose, right?
Right.
As long as, like I've been saying, is
Literally.
don't 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 constrain yourself from following that thread of curiosity, from following your purpose. Because people say, when you follow your purpose, you're being selfish. It's okay to be selfish because, I mean, I wouldn't respect you if you're not selfish, because that's how human nature, right? Because the
Right.
thing is, Chris is he knows what he wants. He go get it. To me, I say, good for him. I'm not gonna say, that guy is selfish, blah blah. I don't do that, and I don't know if most people are gonna say, hey, Chris, you shouldn't do that. You should supposed to be, a slave to society, blah blah. Who
Yeah.
thinks
You
that,
should be, you
right?
should be learning, you should be reading books about sales. You should be reading books about sales management and leadership. You should be reading books about the technology industry. Like, no, I don't care about it. Like, I don't,
But
like, I mean,
my point is, most people don't think that way. Most people
right.
say, hey, good for them. I mean, I wish I can be like him. You think about it, because
Yeah.
the thing is,
Just do
they
what you want.
probably want the same thing. Because to me, people don't really pay attention to other people unless it has something that relates to them. So
Mhm.
it's everything is about us. Everything is about them. So no one cares what you look like. No one cares what you do, Chris, unless there's something that you do and what they do relates to each other. Maybe that, like you were saying, is some people have like similar atomic bomb like you. They can
Mhm.
relate with you. Then they can
Yep.
talk to you. But if they don't have that similarities to you, similar problems, similar background, they don't really care, right?
Right.
And so why do you need to present yourself in this image to society? Hey, I'm this, this about law obeying citizen, and I'm the the contributing
Keeping
to
up with the
society in the
Joneses,
most, contributing
basically,
to the Joneses,
yeah.
and blah blah. I
Right.
say, who gives a shit? Because like I say, if you buy a Tesla, for example, buy because if for your enjoyment. Don't buy because you want people to say,
Right.
"Hey, Chris, you're impressive." Because from my perspective, right,
It's so funny to say that.
if I saw you driving a Tesla, what do I imagine? I imagine me, myself, in your Tesla driving
Right.
it. So that's all I see. I don't look at you and say, "Hey, Chris, that guy's is impressive." No, because thing is, it has nothing to do with you. It hasn't anything to do with me. So
Agreed.
drive a Tesla only because you want to enjoy a Tesla, not because you want other people to say you're impressive. Because no one give a shit. I don't care if you bring in some $2 million Lamborghini. I'm not gonna think that you're impressive. I'm gonna say, well, that's this nice car. I imagine myself inside the car and say, "Ooh, this is nice."
Right.
That's what I'm thinking. So
Yeah.
whatever your goal was for me to think about you, just like went out the window.
It's so funny you just mentioned this whole Tesla conversation and what you're saying in
Uh,
general. Because like remember how we've talked about uh when's the right time to fire somebody, when's the right time to leave your wife or spouse or significant other, when's the right time to to quit your job, when's the right time to to whatever, make a major life decision, right?
mhm.
In your life. And the consensus that we've come to, and I think that we both agree on this, is like probably the first time you really think about it, like in a serious serious nature of like, yeah, I don't think my wife is right for me. Like, yeah, you could spend the next 5 years in couples counseling or whatever. You can try, you can fight, whatever. But at the end of the day, it's only going to the thought is only going to spiral worse and worse and worse. It's like once it's in your head and planted in your
Mhm.
head, like it just doesn't come out. So like my I don't drive my car very often at all. I drive to like tennis matches like twice a week, basically.
Mhm.
Maybe I take Luca every morning to daycare, which is literally a 2.5 minute, maybe 3 minute car ride away.
Mhm.
And I go to the grocery store. I mean, sure, like I drove to my parents' lake house or whatever. Like, every once in a while, it's like special events when I need to go drive like a longer distance, right? So just
Mhm.
putting that out there, right? I don't need a nice car. Like I don't even probably need a car. I could probably just Uber everywhere that I wanted to go at this point in time in my life, or just have one car in our house and take Luca to school in the morning and wait till my wife comes home before I need to leave or whatever. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I could probably get by with only one car as a family if we really wanted to. So I say all this with the caveat of knowing like driving is not important to me. However, my car, I bought it brand new in 2011. I was 20. What year is this? 2023. 12 years
12
ago.
years
So
ago.
I was 26, right? I was 20. I
Mhm.
was 26 years old. I didn't have kids. I didn't have, I had a home, whatever. I had, I had a mortgage, but I like, wasn't like crazy expensive or anything like that. I made good money, like, whatever. Buying a third, I think this is like a $35,000 car at the time, right? I think
Mhm.
I have a Mini Cooper Countryman. So it was like a brand new car. It really fit my personality at the time. It still does. Like I still like it. It's a good car. Whatever. There's nothing wrong with it. However, it's now almost, I guess coming up to being like 12 years old now at this point in time. It's got like
Right.
120,000 miles on it. Like it's got a lot of maintenance needs that need to be done to it. I have like a cracked windshield. I got a big dent in my door, the side door from somebody hitting it, like, at one point in time. Like my hatch when I pull it up and put something in the wintertime, like the little hydraulics sometimes freeze and like it keeps hitting me in the head, kind of thing. But long story short, my wife also at the same time has a Prius. We bought them a month apart from each other. So she bought her Prius, Toyota Prius in 2011 as well. A month apart from when I bought my car. We weren't married at that point in time, but we were living together. So it was kind of funny that we decided, hey, let's just get
Mhm.
two new cars together. She was like 24, I was 26, and we got two new cars, right? So she has like 100,000 miles in her car. It's getting old now, but it's still
Mhm.
fine. Like it's fine. Anyway, long story short, I'm setting the stage to say, like, I've for a long time, these cars have been paid off now for like 8 years. Like, I mean, we've had no car payments for like 8 years. We've owned our cars. Like I don't, no reason to like. I like that. Like, like I don't really care. Like a lot of my friends have gotten nice new cars, and I'm like, it's fine. I don't care. At a certain point in time, I kind of find some humor in like rolling up, knowing that I make plenty of money to be able to afford a nice car, like a brand new nice car if I want to, but it's kind of fun rolling up in a car that's not as nice anymore, and I'm just like, I don't really care. My son's throwing shit all over the place in it, it's I don't care. I don't clean the milk off my leather seats after he throws his fucking bottle everywhere. So I say all this to say, very recently, about 6 months ago, my wife said something to me that kind of made me laugh a little bit, and it's been stuck in my head ever since. And I'm fucking like I can't get it out. She goes, one of my 22-year-old teachers, she's the principal of a charter school.
Mhm.
She makes more money now than she's ever made in her career, like almost $100,000 a year or something like that, which for an educator is pretty sizable, I would say.
Mhm.
And she her 22-year-old employee that makes like half of what she makes, like has a way nicer car than she has, right? And then pretty much every other employee that she has in the school drives a way nicer car, and she's supposed to be the boss. Like, I am like, I work for prestigious software companies. I'm also supposed to be the boss. Obviously, my team doesn't see me drive in every single day, but honestly, if they did, if I went to go pick them up from the airport, if they like flew into Indy and I was taking them out around town, I'd be like, I'm kind of embarrassed to show you my car, honestly. Like I would be pretty embarrassed. Not only that, side note, every time that like I only go to pretty much tennis matches, but tennis is a sport that is a country club-ish kind of sport, so a lot of
Mhm.
people that play it, a lot of my friends that I play tennis with are also, you know, wealthy-ish upper middle class professionals that drive Audis and Teslas and and BMWs and whatever, and they roll in with their nice car, and I roll in with my car making weird ass noises, and my brakes are squeaking because I need to get them changed, and I got a crack in my windshield, and it's kind of embarrassing. Like for the longest time, I didn't really care at all. But about 6 months ago, I got that idea in my head of like, man, we probably should get a new car. Like, like I'm like, my wife said after this whole like thing with her one of her employees, like she was like, I'm kind of just like embarrassed to drive my car into the school. Like I'm supposed to be the principal. I don't want my kids to see, the kids in
But
the school to see like,
isn't that what the thing is? People don't give a shit while
they,
you drive.
they don't, but they do. I
I
mean,
mean,
everybody would look at
the thing
like,
is that you're trying to be consistent with how they think. They think
right,
that,
exactly.
hey, as this boss, you should
Right.
have a nicer car than me, right? And so you are basically doing what society expects you to do.
Oh, I know.
Rather than,
I know.
it's like you want to keep up the image. So this is exactly what I'm saying.
But true. But goes back to when's the right time to buy a new car? Probably the first time that you really think about buying a new car. And like it's been stuck in my head for 6 months, and I'm fighting it. I'm fighting it every single day. I'm like, I don't need a new car. I mean, that's stupid. Like I barely drive. This is stupid. I do not need to go have $1,000 a month car payment on a new Tesla or whatever. And by the way, Teslas are what we're like, my wife and I have decided we're going to go look at cars, and it's going to be a Tesla only because they have this EV tax credit. And they've reduced the prices of Teslas like $20,000 or whatever, to get it under that threshold that the government said,
But
plus you get a tax credit.
EV, it doesn't have to be Tesla. You can get other hybrid and still get.
I looked it up. There's basically no other ones out there that are even appealing to me in any way, shape, or form. So this is like the only car that's even remotely appealing to me, even though I don't want a Tesla. But I was like, I want a car that's more like a software platform that's going to be updated in the future. That's going to be most cars are probably going to go toward electric vehicles anyway. Most cars are probably going to, I feel like this is the right logical choice. If I have to get a new fucking car, I feel like this is probably the car that I'm being directed.
This is not the Chris I know.
I know.
This is not the Chris I know.
Because I don't want a car. I don't need a new car. We're only going to buy one new car, and she's going to drive it to school every day, and I'm only going to drive it to tennis matches. Like that's all. I'm still going to keep my car. Like, I mean, we're going to trade in her car because it's probably worth more than mine.
Remember that lesson we learned about conspicuous.
I know conspicuous consumption versus inconspicuous. It's almost comical that you're saying this, because I was like chuckling to myself, because I'm like thinking, well, the only reason the Tesla, I have like 3 friends that have recently bought Teslas, and I'm like, God damn it, I don't want to be that fucking person that rolls up in a Tesla with our 4 people coming to a dinner party and we all have our Teslas, and I'm like, oh fuck, like I don't want to be that fucking person. I like having a beater ass car, I actually do. You know what? I like having a beater ass car, and we're gonna keep one beater ass car. I'm good with that. But we have to have at least one to have my wife feel good about when she rolls into school. So like, I don't know, man. We're walking.
I mean, she's not in company, so you can't really constrain her, because it's a torture for her.
It is.
Because she cares about what she thinks, what people think.
Her students. It's really her students. Like she wants her students to see her as a role model. But
the thing is, this is the problem. Her student don't give a shit. She thinks that her student thinks, right? That's the problem, right? The problem is that we think that other people think that we need to be a certain way.
Right. I agree.
Right? So people, in reality, the people out there, they don't give a shit, right? They say, hey, I need Tesla because I need to impress somebody.
Right.
Right. They don't say, hey, the principal should be more, has more money. He spend more money than me. Because they make more money. See, when you make more money, you have to spend more money. You should have a nicer house. You should have a nicer car. You should spend more. You should pay for a lunch. You should do a bunch of all this shit. See, but the thing is, that is what we expect from society. Right. That's what I'm saying is, in reality, I don't really care. I mean, I don't ever look at my boss and say, hey, he drives a dipshit car, and I drive, a Mercedes or whatever. I don't really care. I have my own problems. And hey, how the fuck am I gonna pay for this bill? And what do I make for dinner? Right. How do I do this? I don't give a shit. I have more problems to deal with than to think about you and your stupid car.
Right.
Right?
I know.
Because if I do that,
100%
right? If I do that, I'm already a judgmental person already. So who give a shit my opinion in that case? Because the thing is, that's what I'm saying is, like I say, hey, if you say you want to be that you are world class, that you're not world class, because it just it can't happen. If you say I'm not crazy, then I'm crazy, because that's the way it works. Because the moment you claim to be something, that means that you don't have it. That's why you want to claim it. So
I agree.
So when a person judge you, right? They have no right to judge you. But the person who have the right to judge
look at me.
you,
I'm wearing a fucking hoodie.
Judge you.
I got this gross ass beard going on. I'm wearing a hoodie. I look like I'm like like a homeless person right now.
You
Like
are.
I drive this car that I mean, it's almost like comical. Like at a certain point in time, I actually enjoy I love like I don't know what it is, but about this, but I've always loved like knowing that I fit in this place, but also at the same time going, I choose to fit in over here though.
I
I
mean,
know that I could,
you're a trash panda. You,
right,
you can't
exactly.
you
Like
can't say, oh, I'm gonna go and live in this, pristine Arctic place where the water is crystal clear, blah blah. Say, I need some trash. I'm not comfortable without anything.
that's
I'm a
exactly
fucking
right.
trash panda.
It's
I
it's
belong where I belong.
that's so
So
funny.
for you to say,
Yeah.
hey, I gotta keep up with the image, like, okay, it's
Nobody
torture.
knows what car I
Because then
drive,
you think
nor do they
about it,
care, you know.
if you are a trash panda personality, you go to a fucking like nice car, it's like, oh shit, I can't do anything. I can't even,
I know. I
I
can't
mean,
get it
oh
dirty. If you get like,
my
I got to keep it clean all the
I have
time.
muddy tennis shoe. Oh, I gotta be careful. It's like,
Right.
fuck. I mean, it's like you self inflict yourself onto this misery, right? But when your car's messy,
Agreed.
like, oh my, it's a little bit dust on my shoe, no problem. I guess
Lucas
I'm
spilled Cheerios all over the backseat of my car on Tuesday when we were driving to the lake, or yeah, Tuesday. And I heard it. Like my wife gave him the Cheerios and she's eating it, and I hear this,
right. But thing is that when you have
and
the
I'm
new
like,
car, you say,
oh
oh
fuck.
shit, and
Yeah,
you get
I gotta, yeah,
mad. You get
right.
mad, and your blood boil for fucking what reason, right? But you have a cheap car, say, oh,
That's
it's okay,
true.
right?
Yeah, I
So
gives
you
a
don't
shit.
even blink an eye just because. But you have a nice Tesla, and say it devalue your car. It's like
Right.
you get frustrated, right?
Oh
You
yeah.
get
Oh,
frustrated on
I would
yourself,
get
and
pissed if he dumped his Cheerios all over the backseat of my brand new,
exactly. But that's
fifty
one
thousand
my
dollar
point
car or
is
something
your
like that.
health is being in jeopardy
Right.
because you have this blood boil like episode of getting angry and you lose your senses. To
You know
me, like
what?
I say,
You've talked me out of it, but I can't talk my wife out of it.
no, let your
But
wife do whatever she wants
right,
because,
right.
like I say, she doesn't understand what we do in company. Let her do it. Don't I said don't ever constrain her. Like I won't constrain my wife because she don't understand because you taking that away. That's too difficult. But for you, you know better.
I do,
You know
I don't,
that.
and I really don't care like what car I drive. It's more of a,
So let her
you
let
know,
her buy the Tesla, and you can drive sometime you want. But
yeah.
when you can't take the pressure, just go back to your cheap ass car and just do whatever you need to do
But
with
it's
it.
not a cheap car. I mean, it
It's
is a nice
not. It's
car. I
not.
mean,
It's a nice car, but
it was a nice. It was once a nice car.
let me quote it. Cheap ass car. But to me, right, it's a nice car, and it's as long as it drives and as long as it's function, it's the
Yeah,
best car because
right.
you're comfortable in it.
I am. My butt's nice and worn on the seat, and like there's even a little split in the leather next to it. You know, where it's where I've sat in it for 12 years. I used to actually drive a lot because I well, not a lot. I mean, when I had to drive to the office every day, I
Mhm.
worked about 20-25 miles away from my house. So like, I mean, it was like 50 miles a day at least. Like,
Right.
well, probably at least filling up every like 5 days or something like that, and a gas like, for pretty good fuel efficient car. Like
Mhm.
shit, I don't even know that I fuel up more than once every 3 weeks at this point in time. And that's only because I, maybe had to drive to a few far tennis matches a couple times. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's like I mean, it's just such a different
I
world.
mean, I mean your car is pretty. It's not a cheap car. It's a very luxury car.
It was. I mean, it's not anymore. I mean, but
Well,
yeah, it was.
well compared to when you bought it.
I'm actually curious. What is a Kelly Blue Book on? You don't have to. You can keep talking. I was just gonna look this. I was just kind of curious. What is or my car's value?
I mean, like I said, what when you buy your car has its value, which is above average luxury car. And so it's not
Yeah,
a cheap car to begin with. So yes, it has its age, and you have been using it, but to me, it's a pretty nice car, regardless of how old it is, because it's your car. You know what I mean?
right.
It's the car I guess you grow up with. In a sense. It's been
It
12
is.
years
Yeah.
old. I mean, it provides for you for a long time, and it has its character, has its character.
Agreed.
And
Have
to me, it's like that's more comforting than having a new car. Because to me, a new car is nice only for the moment that you feel like, oh, I'm aligning with you know the image of what people need to think of, who I'm supposed to be, blah blah. But it only lasts that long because until I realize that people don't give a shit. It's like, shit, I'm paying all this money for what?
right.
I miss my old car.
I do. I would miss it. Like, I mean, honestly, I just, like I said, I'm kind of like, it's like worn in. Wow, that's nothing. Like shit. Like my trade-in value is $5,000. That's crazy. That's a private party. Yeah, that's a little bit better, but whatever. Either way, like I think my wife's car is probably worth more than mine is at this point in time. I'd be curious what hers is worth. But I don't know how we even got on this conversation. But
The Tesla guy.
That's
You
right.
want to, you want to buy the Tesla, and you thought about buying a Tesla, and you say that when the
Oh,
first time.
we went to go look on Sunday. And ironically, so we had to go I think I told you we had to go to this concert for one of my friend's 40th birthday parties on Saturday, and because of that, Luca stayed with my aunt, and we were gonna go pick him up early in the morning, and she was like, no, I want to keep him, and we're like, okay. And I was like, we were like, can we have our kid? Basically, my wife and I were like, stunned. We're like, what do we do? Like, do we like go like do stuff? Like, like, like it was honestly like we had no idea what to do. We were like literally lost. So we decided, well, let's go eat breakfast together, and then like maybe let's go look at a car because we've been talking about it for like 6 months. We haven't officially made that step. So we go we go to this nice little brunch spot. We eat breakfast, and we're looking up where the nearest Tesla dealership is, which was like 15 minutes away from us or something like that. And my wife goes on there to look to make sure they were open, and they were closed for some weird ass reason. On a Sunday they were closed, and we're like, oh damn it. So like that blew our whole that was the first step that we've made toward going to look at the damn car. But we almost did it. We almost did it on Sunday, so it'll happen again. I have a feeling.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I'm feeling your wife won't let it go. So
yeah. He doesn't even want a Tesla. I'm the one that's pushing her to go get a Tesla, just because I'm like, I feel like that's the right decision to make for a car. Anyway, who knows? Who knows where this will go? The TBD on this one. All right. I feel like I'm purged for this one. Any final thoughts on where
yeah,
the places your purpose
just
to take
follow just follow the omens. Just like I said, the thread of curiosity. Where it leads you, you will be fulfilled in what you find, right? Whatever it is you're interested in, your genes and your DNA is going to say, wow, this is exactly what I'm looking for. I'm going to let you have peace, and I'm going to give you this euphoric feeling. And that, to me, that's what purpose is about.
Agreed. And not only that, I'll add on to that. Randomly, you will meet other people on the way that care about the same stuff, and then those people become your meaningful relationships as well. And then it makes it all that more fun.
Meaningful meaningful work, meaningful relationship is the yin and yang. It has to go together. So watch out for it.
Yeah, like don't like it's not even worth it if you can't find that meaningful. If you're ever doing something that's a really meaningful work project, you don't have a meaningful relationship that you've built around it. Like I've heard this a million times on how I built this podcast of, really make sure you have a co-founder, that's, I mean, you can call it whatever you want to call it.
But the thing is,
business, it's a co-founder.
It's about, and the thing is, you can't really find them because you have to live your core values.
Yes.
And it attracts, and then
they find each other. Like
it attracts. Right. I mean, they for some reason they sense to come together.
Right.
And so to me, purposely live out your purpose.
Right.
And if you want to find a relationship, but watch out for, because a lot of times, if you think that something you do is lining with you, but you don't have somebody to work with, right? That, to me, it won't last. So just think of that as a transition. So don't say, hey, I'm going to take this forever, because you can't do it, because because you have this roller coaster. Some days you're gonna be out of it, and you need that
Right.
person to pick you up and to get you out of that rut, right? And
Agreed.
sometimes you're gonna have to pull them out of the rut, and that's why at least two people. I think optimally two people. I
Yeah.
think, right? I think
At a minimum.
optimally
At a
they.
minimum. Right. Yeah.
Well, I think three is okay too, but I think two people is the most optimal in terms of the yin and the yang, right? Because
I mean, I agree with that. Actually, I actually do agree with that. When multiple people start to get, you can have other people that attach to those two people.
they're not aligning perfectly. Like when
Right.
two people they have this the strength and weaknesses covers each other and that
Right.
align like it's but have a third person. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but it's a little bit rarer to have the combinations of all three people that align perfectly in like a gear, like the teeth on a gear, right? So to
Yep.
me, two people is probably more common for you to find. It's easier, more probable for you to find another person that aligns with your core value, and you basically going to do things with them, and that whatever you do thing with them, that's a journey without an end.
Yeah.
If you do something by yourself, it will end. I guarantee you will.
It
But
will. Yeah.
but and to me that's okay too. But make just we understand that it's going to be a transition. You won't continue to do that forever. But whatever you do, I mean, to me it doesn't. You don't even think about the end. You don't want it to end.
Agreed. Agreed. I mean, I think I think that's very well said. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for joining. The question we can leave with everybody is where's your purpose leading you? And glad we're able to round out this week finally with a somewhat of a normal night. And we'll look forward to seeing everybody on Monday.
Yeah, sounds good. Good night, brother.